My Favorite Person, the #1 rated podcast about the manufactured housing industry in South Carolina. In fact, the only podcast about the manufactured housing industry in South Carolina. Our guest today is Joanne Polston, newly appointed General Manager of Clayton Homes of Orangeburg. Joanne Polston is one of the most knowledgeable people in the industry. She has managed 2 rental communities, been a successful retailer, teaches a class for industry professionals, and somehow found time to serve as chair of MHISC. I'm Clayton Evans, directing today's podcast, and here's our host, Mark Dillard.
Hey, everybody. Our guest today is really one that most of us know and like. Well, most of us like her. Joanne Polston. Welcome, Joanne. You've gone through some changes lately. Tell us about that and what's going on with your store and everything.
Well, as you know, we opened up Atlantic Homes January the 4th of 2023. We've done well. It's been over a year. The location is absolutely amazing. We did it right from the ground up with the office, the landscaping and everything. And so it's a beautiful store, beautiful location. And, these guys wanted to take a chance on Orangeburg, which is paid off. Orangeburg is growing. I always say we sit between Somerville and Columbia. How much better can that get, right? Because it's growing out towards us. But the investors that had Atlantic Homes, they decided they wanted to do land, home packages, communities. They're more into the land side of it and developing instead of retail. And so Clayton made an offer, and they decided, after talking and discussing, they decided to sell to Clayton. So now we're owned by Clayton, and I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be a wonderful thing for our location, for the town or the city of Orangeburg, and for everybody involved, for my team here. We'll have a lot more avenues that we can look into with Clayton being as big as they are.
What sort of logistics go into translating an independent dealer to a Clayton store? Is it pretty well the same deal, or is there quite a bit of hoopla?
Well, as an independent, you don't have all the systems that they have in place like Clayton does. And it's a lot, but it's a lot of good stuff. Actually, the transaction, it only took about 30 days. So the investors for Atlantic Homes, they had their stuff together, and it made it pretty easy for for Clayton to purchase. And then getting in, there's a whole team of guys and girls that come in from Clayton, and they were with us, the last couple of weeks, and they set up and move things, which is great. But there's still a lot that we have to learn, because it is a learning curve into their system, because it's completely different than, an independent, because we only have the one location, and it wasn't, it was all in-house. They have a corporate office, but there's a huge team of people that's going to help with the whole thing.
Well, you really know a lot of people you may be the most famous, best known person in the industry in South Carolina, because you teach the licensing course. And I guess that's everybody who gets a dealer or a salesperson license goes through your course, correct?
That is correct. And I do meet a lot of people. I think it's going a little over 4 years now. Actually, I got the class March of 2020, so it's shortly past it's April of 24. So it's been a little over 4 years. I've met a lot of people, and everybody that gets into the industry does have to take the course. And there's salespeople that's come through my class, and I see them out. I can't remember everybody's name, but I can remember everybody's face. But they all remember me. I try to make sure that they, I try to be a little funny sometimes, where they do remember me. Okay. Make it fun, right?
So what's the typical class size these days? It seemed like maybe the hiring is going up. We got a few more stores than we did 3 or 4 years ago.
On an average, we have about 15 or 16 per class. We've had more than that. We've had a little bit less, but normally we have at least 15 or 16 every class. And it works out very well when we have that many. And I think the success rate of passing the first time has gone up somewhat too. Most of the, I'm saying students because I feel like they're students in my class, they will reach out to me and kind of let me know um, whether they passed or failed. I mean, when they pass, they're so excited. And they kind of let me know, but normally if they have to take it more than one time, they might miss. Normally, most of them miss about 3 questions, okay? And then they'll go back and, they'll either pass or either miss 2. As we know, the tests are all different, so you don't get the same test. One of my team members here, salespeople, they just did one, and they got 2 totally different tests, within a week. And they had missed 3 and then 2. So I was like, the third time you're going to get it. But you got some people that pass right away, but there's a lot of people that don't do well on test. That's something that you have to look at. And if you get nervous, when you go in there and you really want this and they really, that could make a difference also.
Well, there's a fella, he's kind of up in age over in the western part of the state, who very sharp, but he told me he had not taken any kind of test in over 50 years. And so, I think there's a little bit of anxiety for some folks. And like
it is,
some people test well naturally, some people just don't. Well, you've got a really good partner with Jake Randall. And how did you hook up with him? Because I guess he sort of specializes in the nuts and bolts, the installation type parts of the course.
Yeah, Jake is really good with the dealer section of the course, and that has a lot to do with the installation and him being, in the business for 15, 20 years. I don't think he's been in it quite 20. I don't want to say he's getting old, but he's been in it since, for a while. I think about 15, 16 years. And he's done a lot of sets and, transportation, so he knows the installation very well. But Jake actually was introduced to me. I was looking for a setup person that would know the installation part of it, really good, that could help me teach the class. And while I was in Aiken, with Sun Communities there, a friend of mine introduced me to Jake and said, this is your guy. So he walks in, and this is really funny. He walks in, and we introduced each other, and he had a red shirt and khaki pants. And me, I went, oh, you're Jake from State Farm. So we talk about that in class a lot. We cut up about that. But Jake and I hit it off right away. And 2 days later, we taught our first class with math. Okay. Wow. So it was very interesting, and we have been very successful. We kind of feed off of each other, so to speak. He knows his part really well. I know mine. We know, we enjoy it. He really likes doing the class as well as I do. I mean, that's one of the things that we really, really do like.
Well, when you sit in on the course, you can tell that y'all get along well. Y'all both introduce some humor into it. And I think that kind of helps the medicine go down a little bit with the students.
I think so. You've got to have a little bit of fun when in whatever you're doing in life or in business, and we try to make them laugh a little bit, because there's enough stories to be told in this industry that would make people laugh. Okay. I tell them stories that's happened in the past, and I've been in it since the 90s. So there's a lot that we can actually share with them. And, it breaks up the day a little bit when they can actually laugh. I know the people that work in my office here, since the class is in the, at the dealership here, they're like, oh my goodness, y'all are really laughing and they're having a good time. But, we teach, and then you got to have a little bit of that in there also. And it makes the day go by faster. And most all of them always tell us how much they really enjoyed the class.
Yeah, yeah. I just realized I'm wearing a headset, but it's not connected to Zoom in any way. So I'm going to take it makes it look like I'm, know what I'm
I
doing.
thought you were talking through that. Yes.
So you have also, as you mentioned briefly, done community management. You've got a great background. What were you doing in those areas?
Well, I started in with Jensen Communities, back in 2012 in the Somerville, Charleston area down there, with a 55 plus community, and started in sales and then moved up to management. It was like property manager of the community. It's a little bit different than retail. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to be with communities or to experience that. And then after I left from there, if we filled that one up, I went to Aiken, and they had close to 200 sites there. Um, and I wanted to fill that up, so it was open to all ages. And with communities, the homes are ready, they're there, they can see them. It's a little bit different than retail, where you have to actually take it out on property and stuff like that. And I always say you actually live with them every day. You really do. And there's a lot of good and bad to that. Not saying anything, communities are great. We've got a lot of great community managers and owners in South Carolina that's doing a really good job. And Sun Communities actually bought Jensen Communities out. And so that's how I got to experience a company as huge as Sun was. Corporate offices are a little bit different, but they have all the not utilities, but all the tools and everything that you can think of to be successful. If you're not, that's because you're not trying.
Well, I know you're probably about the busiest person in show business these days. And so we're going to let you go to get back to all your teaching and managing and conversion and everything else. But this has been a fun conversation. It's easy to have a conversation with Joanne Polston. So I enjoyed it a lot. And thanks for spending some time with us.
Well, thank you, Mark. And I look forward to seeing you guys. Hey, don't forget June, right, everybody? I'll see you in June. That's for sure.
Right. The convention. So.
Yes, that's right.